always come back.
It's the kind of update that makes every Five Nights at Freddy's fan stop whatever they're doing and immediately start connecting imaginary red strings on a conspiracy board. And honestly, that's exactly where we're at right now. Because Five Nights at Freddy's 3 is looking a little more alive than many people expected. There are enough little clues floating around to make fans go, oh, okay, maybe this nightmare isn't over yet. Now, before anybody gets too excited and starts predicting every animatronic ever made, let's keep our feet on the ground. Almost everything here points toward early development. That's the important phrase, early, as in don't expect a trailer tomorrow. The biggest update actually came from Skeet Ulrich, who played Henry Emily in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. During a panel at Monster Mania Con, he talked a little about where things stand, well, as much as he could. And honestly, you could almost hear him trying not to accidentally leak something. He basically said that from what he understands, the third movie is being written right now. According to him, new writers have reportedly just been hired, so everything is still at a very early stage. That alone is already interesting because it suggests actual work is happening behind the scenes instead of everyone just talking about possibilities. Then he dropped another tiny little tease. He mentioned that supposedly there's a lot of Henry Emily and William Afton involved. Now immediately every fan hears those two names together and their brain starts doing backflips. But here's the important part. Even Skeet Ulrich was careful. He didn't present it like confirmed story details. He basically said that's what he's heard, but they're still writing it, so it's too early for him to really say much. And that's probably the smartest way to look at all of this. Because at the time these updates came out, there still wasn't any confirmation that Five Nights at Freddy's 3 was definitely happening. Even Ulrich himself avoided saying anything that sounded final. So yes, it's encouraging, but no, it isn't time to start declaring every fan theory as canon. Interestingly enough, this lines up with something director Emma Tammy had already said months earlier. Back in December, she explained that discussions about another movie were happening. Notice the wording, discussions, not production, not filming, not we've already locked everything. Just conversations about potentially making another movie. Which means what Skeet Ulrich said may fit into that timeline pretty well. Maybe those discussions gradually turned into actual script development, could be. That's speculation of course, but it does seem like things may be moving forward little by little. Now let's remember why fans care so much in the first place. The movies are based on the hugely popular Five Nights at Freddy's games. The story follows Mike Schmidt, played by Josh Hutcherson, a security guard who discovers that these creepy animatronics are possessed by the souls of children murdered by the serial killer William Afton, played by Matthew Lillard. Then you've got Elizabeth Lale as Vanessa and Piper Rubio as Abby. So the world already has plenty of characters that fans are invested in, and if Henry Emily and William Afton really do end up playing bigger roles, that could become a major focus, assuming that's the direction the writers finally choose. But then another update arrived, and honestly, this one may actually tell us even more about where the movie could be heading. Because the first major creative addition to Five Nights at Freddy's 3 has reportedly been made. Gary Dauberman has been brought in to write the screenplay. Now, if that name sounds familiar, there's a pretty good reason. This is the writer behind It and its sequel. He's also written multiple movies in the Conjuring universe, including Annabelle, Annabelle Creation, Annabelle Comes Home, and The Nun. He co-wrote the horror game adaptation Until Dawn. He wrote and directed Salem's Lot. He also produced The Curse of La Llorona, The Nun 2, and Passenger. So yeah, the guy has spent quite a bit of time hanging around haunted things that absolutely should not be haunted. It's basically his resume at this point. Oh, what's your specialty? Evil dolls, cursed nuns, terrifying monsters, haunted children, creepy supernatural nightmares. Perfect, welcome aboard. Now obviously, bringing in a horror writer doesn't automatically guarantee anything. A screenplay still has to come together, the movie still has to get made, the final product still has to work, but if you're looking purely at experience, Dauberman definitely has plenty of it when it comes to horror franchises. Another interesting detail is that Scott Cawthon, creator of the games, reportedly doesn't seem to be directly writing the screenplay this time. That doesn't mean he's gone, far from it, he's still involved as a producer on the project. So while someone new may be handling the script itself, Afton is apparently still part of the overall production. That's another thing worth paying attention to. Sometimes bringing in a new writer can change the creative energy without completely changing the identity of the franchise. Could that happen here? Maybe. We simply don't know yet because the story details are still completely under wraps. And honestly, that silence is probably intentional. If you're making another Five Nights at Freddy's movie, you're probably not going to reveal every mystery before people even buy a ticket. Now there's another layer to this that makes the whole situation kind of fascinating. Blumhouse and Atomic Monster merged back in 2024, and Gary Dauberman happens to be one of James Wan's longtime collaborators. So suddenly, this hiring starts making even more sense. Dauberman has worked throughout the Atomic Monster side of horror for years. James Wan himself has deep connections with Blumhouse after directing Insidious and Insidious Chapter 2 before creating Atomic Monster. Then after the merger, the two companies started overlapping creatively even more. One example is James Wan and Leigh Whannell leading development of a new Saw movie after the rights were acquired in 2025. So when you look at Gary Dauberman joining Five Nights at Freddy's 3, it almost feels like another example of these two horror powerhouses blending their creative talent together. That's actually pretty interesting because it isn't just about hiring one writer. It also reflects how these production companies may now be working more closely on major horror projects. Will audiences notice that influence when the movie eventually comes out? Maybe, maybe not. But behind the scenes, it definitely looks like the collaboration is growing. Then there's the business side. Both previous Five Nights at Freddy's movies earned more than $200 million worldwide. The first movie even became Blumhouse's second highest grossing film ever. The sequel also crossed the $200 million mark and became another major success for the studio. That's important because studios obviously pay attention to numbers. Even though the sequel received poor ratings and some fans started worrying that there wouldn't be another installment, the financial performance tells a very different story. Again, that doesn't automatically guarantee anything, but successful box office numbers certainly don't hurt when discussions about another sequel begin. And maybe that's one reason development appears to be moving forward. Right now, though, everything still comes back to one simple reality. They're writing, that's where things are. No plot details, no confirmed story, no massive character reveals, just the knowledge that people are apparently sitting down and figuring out what Five Nights at Freddy's 3 could become. Which honestly is both exciting and slightly frustrating. And beyond that, almost everything else remains a mystery. So you never miss the latest movie updates. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.